for you to write out what stresses you with your family members, what stresses you about the relationship that you're in, or what stresses you about being single. I used to stress about being single, but then I got to look, y'all. Let me tell y'all some real stuff. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you what broke me about stressing about being single. I was stressing about I don't have nobody come to my house. Don't nobody come visit me. And so when my little friend did start coming to visit me, Lord, it was so aggravating. Jesus. It was so aggravating to me because he got where he was coming all the time. And I was like, now I don't have time to do this and that. So, you know, when we ask God for something, you better be specific. Or you better find out what his plans are. You better pray to find that he reveals himself to you. The same way he revealed himself and his plans to Habakkuk, he asked God. Just ask him. He will reveal to you. Okay? The next thing that really gets to the core of your complaint is this part. What have you been asking God for that he has not answered? What have you been asking God for? Some of you may be asking God for a child. Some of you may have been asking God for a new home. Some of you may have been asking God, like I said, like that new relationship. Some of you may have been asking God for a promotion, a raise. I remember I asked God for a pair of shoes last year. No, actually, it wasn't last year. It was 2015 I asked God for a pair of shoes. And I just said, Lord, I just need a pair of walking shoes. and believe it or not, it was enough to stress me because, you know, I am plus size. So, you know, sometimes if you don't wear good tennis shoes when you're walking, your knees and joints and stuff were hurt. And I noticed that I was swelling up a lot. And at the time, I really couldn't afford a good pair of shoes. And I prayed to God. And I kept complaining, though. I kept complaining to my family, I need some shoes. I need some shoes. And somebody heard me complaining. And in 2016, they ran across a pair of good shoes. And they brought them shoes to me. And to this day, I still got that good pair of shoes on. They brought them to me in 2016. So it took God a year to answer that. And while that may seem like a simple prayer to most, or a simple complaint, you know, it may seem like it's not relevant or anything, but it's actually a relevant complaint to me. What might not be relevant to you, to me and you know, we may have different complaints and different pain levels and different disappointment levels of things that are going on in our life that may influence us to, you know, make certain decisions in life, whether they're good or bad. My complaint was I needed the shoes. I knew I needed the shoes because I can't wear flats. When I wear flats, it causes my legs to swell and my knees to like really swell up and have all kind of joint pain. So I went that year in pain. I went that whole year just looking around, watching everybody else's feet. Watching everybody else's feet. And it didn't even matter if it was nice shoes or not. I mean, name brand shoes or not. The only thing I wanted was a good bottom. A good bottom. But I couldn't afford it. But I sat here and I looked around at people that had money who knew that I needed shoes, and they would spend their money on drugs, alcohol. They would spend their money, you know, instead of, you know, even saying, let me loan you some money, they were just really being wasteful. And I got to a point where I said, Lord, why can't I have some shoes? When will I get some shoes? Lord, my joints are hurting me so bad. And I was crying one day when I was asking them just for a pair of shoes because it was hurting. And I honestly think it hurt more. And I think this is why Habakkuk was feeling like that, a sincere request to God, a he was asking God. And I think this is why he was feeling like that, because it was breaking his heart to see people were not living the best lives that they could live, and they were being destructive and wasting their time, and they were doing things that were unholy, that were not godly. They were doing things the same way we see people doing things right now in the streets that could get them killed, and they knew better. They would do things that would cause them to be in a poverty state. It's not that the person ain't got income coming in. It's just that when they get it, they don't know how to spend it. It's not that we can't find a relationship. It's just that some of us don't belong in a relationship right now. Or either the person who you want to be in that relationship with, there's something about them that ain't right. And God knows it, so he tells you to back off. Back off. Wait on me. I see what's going on. I know you want somebody in your life. I know you need those shoes. But I'm going to allow you to go through this right now so that when them shoes do come, you're going to appreciate it. When that good man do come, you're going to appreciate him. You're going to learn how to be able to assess and go through the process with less complaining. So that next year, 2017, it was 2016 when the thing happened with the shoes. And it was 2017, because it was just last year. It was 2017. As a matter of fact, it was around about March. My sister walked up in my house with that pair of shoes. And she said, "These shoes are for you." I looked at them shoes and I said, I ain't wearing them things. See what I'm saying? Sometimes we're not ready for God to even give us the solution. I looked at them shoes. I said, I ain't wearing them things. I'll keep on what I got on. But you best believe by the time the summer got here and those little raggedy shoes that I did have on tore up, I had to go right back to the pair of shoes that I threw my nose up at. Had to go right back, and I had put these shoes on and come to find out they were Dr. Scholl's shoes. So y'all know Dr. Scholl's got some good shoes, and they have been helping my knees and balance ever since. So you see, I wasn't ready to receive the solution. I wasn't ready to receive the answer, and God had already sent an answer. And that's how some of you are. Some of you are sitting around waiting on God to answer, but you haven't been through the process long enough to appreciate the answer. And so you might have to go back around that mountain again until you learn how to be appreciative. And that's how that's the way that you cancel out complaints, is you look to God and you start being thankful and you start being grateful. You can cancel out a whole day of complaints if every time that something goes wrong, you just say, Lord, I thank you. And not just say it because it's conformed nowadays, but say it from your heart. See, now every time I look at these shoes, I don't even want to take them off now. I go to bed, look, sometimes I wake up, I still got these little shoes on because I'm thankful. One thing, I'm thankful that God allowed me to go through the process, and he sent me back through the process, and I had to get interrupted. I thank God for all of that, because then I wouldn't have known to be appreciative. And then I would have known, I didn't know that this is who God is sending me. And in other words, God can use anybody at any time to deliver the goods, the message, whatever it is that you've been praying for. God can use a person at any time. So what have you been asking God for that he has not yet answered? You'll be surprised. I know a lot of ladies are waiting on that child. And I'm going to tell you something. God can send you a child, and he can be maturing you right now to love that child. It may not be your biological child, but it may be a child through adoption. It may be a child through foster care. Or it may even just be being around other people's children and mothering other people's children. You know what? We got to bring the village back. We got to bring the village back where we as women not only help our children, but we start reaching out and helping other people's children. And we start being a good influence on other people's children. You hear people say a lot of times they grew up. Let me check my time here. They grew up and somebody was like a mother to them. You may be in transition to be like a mother to them. Like a mother to them, whether it's your nieces, whether it's your cousins, whether it is somebody's child you don't even know. It ain't even got to be a black child or white child. Race ain't even got to do nothing with it. You could be in transition right now for the very things that you are going through in your season to be that person's mother. I never would have known that this one little girl, she was going through so much when we had Praise for a Cure. I missed the whole program. It was my show, but when God says get out there and do what you got to do, this girl was at the point of suicide. She said, when I leave, I'm going to take my life. Whew, Jesus. And I said, no, you can't do that. I stayed out there 4 hours with that girl while everybody was singing. Everybody was like, where's Jamie at? Where's Jamie at? I was outside. It was cold. I was sick that night. I had bronchitis. But I stayed out there in that cold with that child until I talked to her. And I said, look, baby, we're finna reach God right now. And ever since that day, she didn't kill herself, but she came back and she said, you've been like a mother to me. So you see, God can use your process. That program might have been set up for one thing, but some other stuff was going on. While the people were singing, God was using the very process that I had been through. I'd been through the process of helping people with suicide for the last, I don't know, I guess like 7 years. 7 years through the phone, but I didn't never have nobody that I had to help in person. And when I finally got with this one, well, I did have 3 that I did, but this one was the first one. When I got with her, it was so different. The Spirit of the Lord was moving. The Spirit of the Lord was working. He was working even though I was, I was like, I was surprised. It caught me totally off guard. The wind blew in. The wind blew in. A lot of things were going on that night. The show was going, as far as the singing was good, but there was a lot of things that were going on behind the scenes, such as paying the people off, such as making sure that my workers and stuff were doing what they were supposed to do. It was a whole lot of chaos going on behind the scenes. But God used that process of stuff that was going on behind the scenes. He said, come here, I'm going to take you out right now. We're going to go outside. Got out there, and I would have never known that this child was just longing for somebody to just tell her it's going to be okay, and somebody to hug her and to pray with her and just stay with her and sacrifice the time. Sacrifice the time to be with her, and that's what I did. I sacrificed my time to be with her. I wasn't worried about no money or anything like that because I know if God allows it to happen, it has purpose. So you may be out there, and that may be something that you have been asking God for. You may be the next person to be on a hotline to save a child's life, and you don't even know it. That may be something that you thought you would never qualify for, but guess what? The past that you went through, the hell that you went through in your past qualified you to talk to the next child. All right? So, do we have any questions so far? Any questions so far? And I want to say about Habakkuk too. The one thing that Habakkuk teaches us is that we can listen to God and we can trust Him. We can trust Him even when we can't see God working things out. We can trust Him to believe that our complaints, He heard us. He heard us. He heard us. Pray without ceasing. But He heard us. He heard us. All right, so that's all I have as far as the homework assignment goes. I want to encourage those of you that are listening. I want to say that God is enough. God is enough, and you may not understand your situation right now. And somebody's probably already told you this time and time